Let's talk about a oldie but goldie. Let's talk about child themes. I see the discussion about child themes coming up a lot lately. Like, do we still need child themes? Does it make sense to still build a site with a child theme? In the days of using the Genesis framework, it was a mandatory thing to do. You could not alter Genesis. You had to use a child theme, and there's many other similar type of constructions out there where a base theme, a parent theme was used as this is where all the functionality is, and you want to create your own version of this, use a child theme. So all your changes go into the child theme. Once we started getting full site editing themes with a lot of stuff, basically the changes we would make in a child theme normally edited and published in the database, people started thinking, we don't actually need child themes anymore. But I disagree. And I think the most important one to keep in mind is that everything that lives in your database as a thing that needs to be requested quite regularly. WordPress handles internal cache quite well, but it still doesn't make a lot of sense to have everything that is your child theme, that is your change from the default theme that you have inside the site editor, to have all those changes live in the database. Because on the performance side of things, whenever we can move something to the file system, they are automatically faster. So that's reason number one. Performance and runtime responsibility. I would always prefer to have that inside your file system, out of the database. There's a wonderful plugin out there, Create Block Theme, and I'll link it below in the description. That's a plugin that turns all your modifications that you've made as a deviation from the theme you're using, essentially your parent theme, turns all those changes into an actual file system version of a theme. In that process, you can actually choose whether you want to start from scratch, like you use the parent theme as the base theme, you create your own version, and your own version is now your new version going forward. That's an option. I would still recommend you use a parent theme, child theme construction, because every single improvement found and updated in the parent theme will find its way into your site. If you choose to sort of fork the parent theme through the Create Block Theme plugin, you are forced to manually update whatever change the parent theme has that makes sense in their updates to be reflected in your child theme. You need to copy paste those. You're not your child theme, your new forked parent theme, I guess. So performance, you will always want to have that taken care of in the best way possible. So that means a child theme, the most sensible argument to have a child theme should be performance first. So yeah, that's reason number one. The second reason I'd like to add here is one that I don't hear about too much, but it's a principle called separation of concerns. So I kind of hinted at it already. The parent theme is where your maintained foundation is, right? That's where all the theme functionality and CSS and opinionated stuff already lives. Your child theme would be a project specific, like this is the site with these changes, and therefore the separation of concerns is a much more a physical one. Changes to the parent theme, you don't ever need to think about that. That will just happen, right? So, but that means the separation of concerns is a cleaner way of working. You can probably visualize that sort of angle as the best way of why separation of concerns is a necessity. The third option is if you have a child theme based on top of a parent theme, you have a clear source of truth. Now, when you look at the database variation of a child theme, I mean, technically it is a child theme, it just lives entirely in the database. You have the opportunity here to say, this is what the installation currently looks like inside the database, but you need to inspect the whole database, right? You need to run by all the settings. There's no way to visually see this as these are the changes I've made. When you turn it into a child theme, you have not only the benefit of the flat file system that you have, but you can actually look at it in your editor. You can actually go and figure out what the changes of the child theme are related to the parent theme. So a super clear, source of truth. The fourth reason I've already hinted at already, and that is the safe parent theme updates. A parent theme and child theme live as separate entities. So that means we can update the child theme as you like, when you like, but that also means the changes happening to the parent theme. And let's say, for instance, WordPress, the next version of WordPress comes out, there's stuff inside the new version of WordPress that makes sense to now facilitate in that parent theme. You just change the parent theme to the latest version and it's included everywhere on your site with all the options as the parent theme offers it. If you are using separate themes, I mean, you can get away with it in this is my site and I'm the only one maintaining it, looking at it, all of that. But it doesn't make a lot of sense as soon as you scale beyond that one site. Because if you now have, 50 sites, 50 client sites, and you need to update all 50 client sites separately in the child theme version, that's a pain in the ass. I do not wish that upon my worst enemies. That's cumbersome. So let's not do that. Let's use the child theme for all your project-related updates and continue to trust the parent theme to update continuously with improvements that benefit the new features that are part of the new WordPress release. Yeah, so the fifth reason I think you should still be using a child theme is a slightly more advanced one, and it's related to version control, specifically Git. The advantage of working with a flat file system child theme means all the templates and all the theme.json configurations, they live inside of Git. So you can check what has changed, you can check who did it, assuming you're not the only one working on a project, but you can review stuff before you actually deploy them. And it makes it a lot easier to have a very verifiable version of a theme versus having to sift through all the different settings inside the site editor, because there's no other database view for that than to actually look at what's going on. But then you need to visually compare it, A versus to B, like what is the change? Am I even seeing a change? It's very difficult. If it's in code, super straightforward. And Git with its versioning, so once you do a new commit of a new change, it's quite perfectly visible what the actual change is and what the actual benefit is of having full control and full insight in what your changes are. That brings me automatically to the next benefit of still using a child theme, and that is if you're creating a new version in Git and as a flat file structure, you also get to have very reliable deployment. That means when you go from staging or from local dev to staging and from staging then to production, it's very straightforward. It's like you've always done any update of a plugin or a theme. It's straightforward. And it's not only straightforward, you are very predictably saying, this is the change that I've added. There's nothing else, right? There's no, oh, I forgot a setting here or I forgot something there. It's safe and it's steady. So an added benefit of that is you actually get to have rollbacks and recovery without having to restore an entire database because some update inside the theme being updated just didn't copy over or copied over incorrectly. So it's a smarter way of working. It's just solid, it's visible, and it has rollbacks. It has, the recovery component is just super straightforward as it always has been with any plugin or theme. The last reason I think very much worth mentioning is you get to own the design system. The design system, if it lives in the parent theme and then in the database variation of it, again, I said this before already, it's very difficult to really have good control of what the changes are. And a child theme has a theme.json, and that JSON file is an override to the parent themes, right? So all the settings and all the styles, everything lives in the theme.json. So if there's a child theme, it automatically overrides what is in the parent theme. So that means you can have your colors, your typography, your widths, your templates, all your editor controls, your patterns. Everything lives as an override to the parent theme. That means you can have a much richer version of a child theme. It can be a slimmed down version. Doesn't really matter. Whatever you put in the child theme still overrides whatever's in the parent theme. And that's just a cleaner way of working. You have your reusable templates and your patterns. Everything is in there. And the end result of this, and still using a child theme in 2026 and going forward, this is not going to change, is that it's essentially preventing configuration drift. It's just a very solid way of working. So that concludes my list. Hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one.